University in Baltimore, Maryland. This organization rounds out what are collectively known as the Divine Nine Organization of Black collegiate Greek-lettered fraternities and sororities. This final addition to the National Panhellenic Council was founded amidst the civil rights movement by 12 men, most of whom were non-traditional students. They aligned themselves with civil rights organizations such as the NAACP and the Southern Christian Leadership Conference. Today, they have roughly 300 chapters and 75,000 members. In 1926, a man by the name of Benjamin E. Mays was offered a job right here in Tampa, Florida. He was offered a job as the executive secretary of the Tampa Urban League, and his wife, Mrs. Sadie Mays, was offered a position as a social worker for black clients. Mays, who had earned his degree from Bates College in Maine, was an ordained minister who later earned an MA and a PhD from the University of Chicago. Mays had taken over leadership of the National Urban League from Blanche Armwood, the namesake of Armwood High School here in Tampa, Florida. In his autobiography, Mays described the atmosphere in the downtown St. Paul AME Church as packed to capacity as he was introduced to the public along with the mayor and other city officials and the visiting press. Both speeches were variations on a theme that Negro and white relations were ideal. Ruth Atkinson, the executive secretary of the Tampa Welfare League, referred several times in her address to our good Negroes over and over, while leading Negroes spoke of her as our, quote, little white angel. According to Mays, all too often, good relations between whites and Negroes meant no more than reciprocal flattery and superficial mutual admiration societies. Mays quickly ran afoul of the city leaders when he refused to endorse on behalf of the black community a plan to move all of Tampa's black residents to one subdivision where all blacks would reside. A plan that had been endorsed, actually, by Blanche Armwood. Who is asking questions today regarding development in Tampa and St. Petersburg? I too sing America. Moreover, Mrs. Mays was in danger of losing her job at the Family Service Association when she insisted on writing Mr. or Mrs. in front of the names of black clients. Her refusal to capitulate to this racist practice that the beloved Ruth Atkinson insisted upon caused trouble for Mays as efforts were underway to have him fired as well. After protesting segregated practices that students from Booker T. Washington High School, which is right around the corner from this campus, that was Tampa's first black high school. After protesting the segregated practices, the students from that high school had to endure at a local American Legion post that was sanctioned by the city. Mays had enough, and he and his wife resigned from their respective positions. This member of Omega Psi Phi fraternity went on to become the dean of the School of Religion at Howard University from 1934 to 1940. Later, after becoming president of Morehouse College in Atlanta, Georgia, he became the spiritual mentor to one of the young students, a young member of Alpha Phi Alpha fraternity named Martin Luther King Jr. In fact, the day before King was eventually assassinated, there's a famous photo of him standing on the balcony of the Lorraine Motel in Memphis, Tennessee, surrounded by members of D9 organizations. Standing next to King on his right was an Omega named Reverend Jesse Jackson. Standing to King's left was a Kappa named Reverend Ralph Abernathy. And standing to the far right of Jackson was Reverend Hosea Williams, a Sigma. All of these fraternities and sororities exhibited commitment, purpose, and service to the community and our country. However, back in 1897, a man by the name of W.E.B. Du Bois, an Alpha and the first African American to earn a PhD from Harvard, asked the question, how does it feel to be a problem? He asked that question in 1897. Fast forward, and a little over 50 years ago, in 1970, Time magazine devoted an entire issue to, quote, the problem of the black in America today. And today, an honest discussion of race is still a problem in America. Currently, House Bill 1291 in the Florida legislature regarding teacher preparation programs, quote, will prohibit teachers from teaching theories that systemic racism, sexism, oppression, and privilege are inherent in the institutions of the United States and were created to maintain social, political, and economic inequalities. That's today, Florida Legislature, House Bill 1291. Essentially everything I spoke to you about today. If this bill passes, it will go into effect on July 1st of this year. Now, there is a loophole here because what I have purported today is not a theory, but fact. Fact that you can seek the sources for yourself. Some people still apparently don't understand that I too sing America. Today, African Americans are often still viewed as a problem. As long as we are considered a problem and not a people, we're in danger because you eradicate problems. You erase their history because you need to erase the problem. You ignore their pleas for safety, health, living wages, and so forth, like it never happened. What does the progeny of hatred look like? If you believe in the Bible like so many Christians confess they do, then they should remember the second letter of Paul to Timothy that reads, for the time is coming when people will not put up with sound doctrine, but having itching ears, they will accumulate for themselves teachers to suit their own desires and turn away from listening to truth and wander away to myths. There is hope, however, because you were too young to know that certain things are impossible. You must educate yourselves because education without discomfort is indoctrination. Martin Luther King Jr. majored in sociology at Morehouse College before going to divinity school, and now the legislature has recently removed that course as a general education requirement. However, you can take it as an elective, and we have two fantastic full-time instructors here on this campus if you're interested. Professor Sarah Kahn, Dr. Christopher Douglas Charles. We can't be a moral country until we do right by those who are treated immorally. We can't be a moral country until we stop supporting immoral leaders and immoral leadership. In the words of the firebrand attorney Thomas Todd, I don't care how much you text. I don't care how much you tweet. I don't care how smart your smartphone is. I don't care what kind of computer you have. You still can't download freedom. There is no app for freedom. You've got to work and make it real. Once we are able to lay down these historical tracks together and listen to what freedom sounds like, that beat of freedom, you will hear that I too sing America, and we will all sing it together around the table that our ancestors built. Thank you. Next, we're going to have Professor Ryan Evans come up to do the next part of the program.
That's my teacher, though. I don't need this mic at all. Not for this next part. So Dr. Berry, with his history, obviously he's a history instructor, and we just had class. And I appreciate him for that. There is just one thing that my boss, he is my immediate supervisor, he is the Dean of Academic Affairs, there's just one thing that he forgot to mention about perhaps maybe, his interest in the Divine Nine. So, sir,